That's right. It is time for another edition of Orange and Blue today. And listen, y'all may not like the topic, you may not agree with it, you may even dislike the wonderful thumbnail created by one Andrew Mason. But the fact of the matter is, the truth is the truth. And the Broncos' playoff chances are all on Russell Wilson. There is no doubt. There is no question. The Broncos can make the postseason. I don't even think there's a question that the Broncos could make it past the first round of the playoffs. I don't even think there's a question that the Broncos, yes, could make it to the big show. I'm talking about not the big show, this big show, because trust me, this is a big show, especially on Wednesday. Cecil Lammey flying solo on Orange and Blue today. Andrew Mason is on assignment. Hopefully talking to Greg Dulcich in the Broncos locker room. But yeah, this team could make the Super Bowl. They are a legit contender. If you make the dance, anybody can make it. So who can really hang with this Broncos team? All of their playoff hopes and futures rely on Russell Wilson. That is the bottom line. If I look at this Broncos team overall, and I look at the way the defense can play aggressively, we don't yet have any sort of clarity on Nick Bonito. If something breaks, Matthew, keep an eye on that for me, please, because I don't know what Sean Payton may or may not say about Nick Bonito or any sort of reports there. But as we do this show right now, and I was out at practice, and we're limited on what we can say at practice, like we don't know about Nick Bonito, but I do know about this. The Broncos can make the postseason. The Broncos can beat the Detroit Lions. And honestly, they could win out. They could have another 5-game winning streak here to end the regular season. And that means they make the postseason. But do you just want to make it? Broncos country, is that your intent? Is that your idea of a successful season? Now, based on where they've been, the answer would merely be, yeah, they make the playoffs. Hell yeah, we'll take that all day. And I've even said on this show, on the post-game show, like, hey, if the Broncos don't make the playoffs, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be mad at this team. The time of them giving me an ulcer is done. But the time to recognize and realize that this team is all on Russell Wilson and their playoff hopes rely on Russell Wilson, he's the key. Russell Wilson is the key for this team. He is the key for the postseason. And that's something that I'm okay with. And I understand why some may not be okay with that. I understand why that statement and the mirror statement of truth makes some nervous out there. Russell Wilson hasn't been as good as he needs to be. Russell Wilson needs to be better. I'm going to tell you exactly how as today's show goes on. But make no doubt about it that this team can make a deep postseason run. They can make it to the Super Bowl, because if you get to the dance, anything can happen, and you've got the defense to do it. You've got the ground game to do it. Playoff football is different, almost in a way of where you get to, and it's the football playoffs, but you see this in other sports. NBA playoffs, there's a bit of a change sometimes in terms of style of play. You see it in other sports as well. But think of it like March Madness. You make the tournament, anybody can go. And the Broncos aren't just anybody. They're the hottest team in the league. They're the hottest team in the NFL that has a defense that can hang with anybody. They've got a ground game that can eat up the time of possession and chew up yardage, and they've got a quarterback who's really good in the red zone. Other places on the field, he needs to be better. Again, I will get into what Russell Wilson needs to do, but make no mistake about it. The key to the Broncos' playoff chances is Russell Wilson. They're going to make it to the playoffs because of the team. They're going to make it through the playoffs because of Russell Wilson. So how far can Russell Wilson take them? That becomes the next question. Because, and again, I said this on the drive just minutes ago with Philip Lindsay and Zach Bye. I said, it sounds pretty basic. Hey, their playoff chances are on their quarterback. You could say that about a lot of teams. But with this team specifically, we've seen most of what the rushing attack can do. Got thoughts on that. I think it becomes a 3-headed committee. More on that in a little bit. So we've seen what the rushing attack can do. We've seen what this defense can do. For the most part, they're playing good football, right? We've seen what Courtland Sutton could do. We're going to see what Brandon Johnson can do, because I think they're done giving Jerry Jeudy chances. You're probably done giving Jerry Jeudy chances. I digress. It all comes back to one player that has not played up to his potential. Russell Wilson has been bad. People will bring up the stats and even bring up some advanced data. You turn on the film when they get to the red zone, you don't see a bad quarterback. You see an efficient quarterback. You see a quarterback that's running a very simple scheme. Can you open it up a little bit, Russ? Can Russ do a little bit more? My answer is yes, but it has to be answered on game day, on Saturday or Sunday. Stupid Saturday games. Stupid 2 Monday night games. NFL. What are you? Anyway, I won't get off track too much. I'll get back on track saying this. The play of Russell Wilson will determine how far you go. If he keeps running simple stuff, you make it the wild card. Depending on matchup, you probably don't make it past the wild card, right? You can make the playoffs. Playing this style, you can easily make the playoffs, right? They can do that. None of their opponents left, even the mighty Detroit Lions. I'm not fearful of any of those teams. So you can make the postseason. But in Broncos country, y'all remember, Simba, it's about championships. And when I look at every team not named Baltimore, the Broncos can beat Buffalo. They already did it. The Broncos can beat the Chiefs. They already did it. The Broncos can beat the Browns. They already did it. If the Steelers somehow make the playoffs, which they won't, and they're completely awful with Mitchell Trubisky, like, they can beat the Steelers. Would it be a tough out? Yeah, because the Steelers have a great defense. The Colts, right? Hey, can they beat Gardner Minshew? Yes. They can beat Gardner Minshew. Jonathan Taylor, no Jonathan Taylor. Like, yes, they can beat these teams. Even if they face the Texans again, and you didn't get it this last time, you can get it in the postseason. That's when it matters. So anyone in the chat room's fired up. Where's my man Pot Stoner Degenerate Jason? Where are you at in that chat room? I see you over there chatting away. Like, name a team. Name any team not named the Baltimore Ravens that you think would give the Broncos troubles. And again, all due respect to every single opponent, the Chiefs would be a tough out. The Bills would be surging now with Joe Brady running that offense. They look a little different than the Ken Dorsey Bills, but whatever is whatever. Like, I look at it and I say they can beat anybody in front of them. And that means they can go to the Super Bowl. So we got to stop messing around with this. Like, I just hope they win a game, right? And playoffs, like, we don't have to be that way. You can ask for more. You can expect more. Now, don't be upset if they don't make the Super Bowl. Nobody should be upset if they don't make the Super Bowl. But we also should talk. Also, I should learn how to speak English. We also should talk about how they are legit contenders and how they are built for playoff football. The rest of the league is just starting to flip that switch. It's December 13th. So the switch has been flipped after Thanksgiving. Now it's time for playoff football. The Broncos have been playing it since October. The Broncos have been sharpening that tool since October in terms of how to win when things are tougher and you're facing tougher opponents. It's not like the Broncos or the Dolphins where they can't beat anybody good. And listen, I happen to really admire Mike McDaniel. I've known him since he was a teenager. I'm wearing my Mike McDaniel glasses today. Not exactly his glasses, but still, like, I love Mike McDaniel. I think he's awesome. I think he needs to beat someone that's actually good before they get all excited. Their TD celebrations are awesome. Till you lose to Tennessee and Will Levis. Like, that team is incomplete. So, yeah, they beat the Broncos by 50. Yeah, they dropped 70 on them. That was week 3. That was a lifetime ago. This Broncos team isn't even the same. Most of the players are the same, but the changes, the confidence, the momentum is different. And it's the momentum that the Broncos have captured and continue to ride towards the postseason. So it is about making the playoffs, and it is about winning when you get there. This isn't like the finish line and the ticker tape or whatever it is, right? It's you run across and you finish. Let me finish. No, that's ahead. That's called the Super Bowl. When you make the postseason, that's just a mile marker. I've often said it in football and life, you need to be watching for mile markers. Am I on the right path? Am I going the right direction? Am I on the road? We all have driven in some snow, right? Blinding snow, and you can only see the reflectors of the mile markers every so often on the road. Maybe you see that white stripe on the right side once in a while. Maybe you see the dotted yellow stripe once in a while. But you're looking for those markers, right? You're looking for those signs saying, hey, your exit is coming up. Like the Broncos are looking for those mile markers. The playoffs are just an exit sign. You're exiting the regular season, you're entering the postseason. That's not the finish line. And I don't think everyone should be happy with where they're at now, but that doesn't mean you're satisfied. And I think that's a difference. And trust me, that locker room's not satisfied. You can be happy with the Broncos, but don't be satisfied until it's a Super Bowl. And that's the thing. When I look at this team, I go, yeah, I could see it in this crazy year where parity is everything across the league. The Bengals might make a run with Jake Browning. And I know Jake Browning, what do you have, like 91 touchdown passes in his high school senior season? Like the dude's been slinging it. He slung it all over the field at Washington. Wasn't drafted a couple of years ago, 4 years ago. It's been a while, 2019. But that's a team that's going to make a run with an undrafted quarterback, right? Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. The 49ers are the top in the league. Now, obviously, they have two of the best receivers in the game, one of the best tight ends in the game, the best running back in the game, greatest left tackle to ever play. Like, they have all these factors, and I'm not taking anything away from Brock Purdy, but, like, look at this situation. This league has gone from you better have a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning to you better have a team. And I think that's good for the sport, because there's only so many Tom Brady's and Peyton Mannings. There's not a lot of them, right? Your Jalen Hurts, your Pat Mahomes, your Josh Allens. These are very rare assets in the National Football League. So how do you win when you don't have one of those guys? Because Russell Wilson, God bless him, he's not one of those guys. He doesn't have to be one of those guys. You got Sean Payton. And the steadiness that Sean Payton has brought to this team has been absolutely outstanding. The culture of this team from the Walton Penner Group, and that's where it begins. Everything starts with ownership. Why is Carolina a mess? You know, my man Matthew and I were just talking about it before the show. Like, imagine covering the Panthers, right? That wouldn't be a fun job. Hey, and you couldn't say anything bad, or else Dave Tepper would have you fired, basically. It's a garbage situation in Carolina because their owner is garbage, allegedly. Corporate, don't send me an email, but like, no, Dave Tepper's out of control, man. He doesn't know football. Well, Greg Penner, he doesn't know football, but he's learning. He doesn't know football, but he's not doing the self-insert, right? Like, I'm Greg Penner. I'm like, he's not doing any of that. You know what he's doing is he's learning and he's listening. I see Greg Penner multiple times a week. I see Greg Penner, asking Sean Payton questions. I see Sean Payton teaching Greg Penner what he's doing, what he's looking at, what you should be looking for. I can only imagine the conversations that Greg Penner is just eating up, the successful businessman. And it's the Walton Penner Group. It's everybody, but it's Greg Penner at the forefront, right? Making the decisions, making the calls that this team needs to make. And having that sort of owner, Broncos countries, you were spoiled with Mr. Bolin. After Mr. Bolin's passing, the disaster of the trust, and the trust was in place to make sure the trust was in place. Again, I like those people on the trust, but they weren't owners. You have an owner, and you have leadership in Greg Penner. And it's that leadership has created the culture of Sean Payton, the culture of work your ass off, you're going to get results. You do what I tell you, you're going to get results. You're over here wandering around doing this other thing, that's not going to be results. You got to be with us or you're against us. And in that building, they're all collectively together. Even Jerry Jeudy. I know all y'all hate Jerry Jeudy or whatever. My grandma would say, dislike his ways. But like, okay, you may dislike the ways of Jerry Jeudy, but you know what Jerry Jeudy is? He's bought in. You know what else he is? Awful on the field. Like, he's not catching him passes. I mean, again, the truth isn't here to make you feel good. The truth is here to be the truth. The truth is what the truth is. And the fact of the matter is, time to move on from Jerry Jeudy. But even in that case, teammates, you don't sense any of that. I talk to his teammates all the time. I talk to Jerry once a week. You don't get that sense. You get a sense of a guy that's bought in. He's just not real good, dropping passes, concentration, whatever. But like, that's a team that's bought. When you have the guy that people see as the malcontent that's bought in, you've got a really good culture. And the Broncos have a really good culture. And I think that comes from the Walton Penner Group, to be sure. The culture here is outstanding, and the culture starts at the top with this team. And that's something important to note as you look at playoff football. As you look at Russell Wilson, this is on his shoulders. Now, there are other quarterbacks that I would not trust in this process. There are other quarterbacks around the league that are running limited offenses, that are working on the whole team leading the way, that I wouldn't trust in this part and say, like, I mean, let's say, for example, the Cleveland Browns make the postseason. Are you really going to trust Joe Flacco? I talked about the Indianapolis Colts. Are you really going to trust Gardner Minshew? I'm going to trust Russell Wilson. And again, it doesn't mean that I'm Team Russ. I often go back and forth with my boss, James Marilat, which is often dangerous for me, but I have a big mouth, and I'm sorry. Well, maybe I'm not sorry, but the point is, what's my point? The point is, I'm not all on Team Russ. I'm certainly not on Team 3. I'm on Team Reality. How about that? Okay. And the reality and the gravity of the situation is, Russ, it's on you. And I trust Russell Wilson. Big trust, big Russ, big trust, right? I trust Russell Wilson. I may rue the day that I said this on December 13th at 3:53 p.m., but I trust what he can do because he's done it before. He's got the experience, and he's going to do everything Sean Payton tells him to do. Sean Payton is a tyrant. Sean Payton is going to oversee everything. He is going to micromanage. And a lot of people, I know from me personally, I don't like to be micromanaged, right? Like WNBC, right? Did you get the memo? The TPS reports, did you get the memo? I hate being micromanaged, but I'm not Russell Wilson. You know what Russell Wilson is when he's micromanaged? Yes, sir. I was going to do that, sir. I'm glad you brought it up, sir. Great idea, sir. Right away, sir. That's what Russell Wilson's going to do. So with Sean Payton managing this thing, right? This is the thing. We just look at the situation. This isn't Russ on an island. Hey, figure it out. You did it before, right? Okay, good. See ya. This is Russ being guided by one of the most maniacal coaches in the league when it comes to studying film, finding weaknesses. Like, Sean Payton's going to find your weakness. He's going to tell Russell exactly what to do. Then it's on Russ to execute. So that's where is the unknown. If this was an equation, we'd say, okay, we know this number, we know this number, we don't know that number, but we know the answer is Super Bowl. Sean Payton's going to find the weakness. He's going to tell Russell Wilson what to do. The unknown is, does Russ execute it? But the answer is Super Bowl if he does. Why? 19 minutes in, Matthew, before I went professional wrestler. And my voice is a little hack, so I can't yell as much today. Some people like that. I've got the reputation of being the yeller, and I don't necessarily like that, but I'm passionate about this game. Damn it, I want the Broncos to kick ass on a wild side, double live Gonzo. You kidding me? Broncos country, you're my family. And I want y'all to be happy. I want to be celebrating in the streets, right? I want another parade. Seems like parades are kind of the norm around here, right? How about another one? What'd Biggie say? And another one, right? Let's get another one. Let's go. Let's go, Broncos. They're in this rare window. I could give a damn about the 2024 NFL draft right now. It hurts me when I say that. I could give a damn about what are they going to keep Russell Wilson? No. Hey, zip. What is it? Austin Powers, right? And Dr. Evil's like, zip. What are they going to keep Russell at? Zip. But what about the draft? Zip. That crap doesn't matter. Matthew, if you had a dump button, I'd start cussing, but like, that crap, that stuff, that shut your mouth doesn't matter, okay? What matters is the now, right? You're here. Hey, eyes up. You're here. You're here right now. You're facing a run at the postseason right now. Win them. You got to go 1-0. Every week in this league, you got to go 1-0. The Broncos know that. Their backs have already been against the wall. This team was flipping 1-5. And now they're ready to kick in that playoff door and make a run at the Super Bowl. And I believe in studying this game more than anybody. Sick brag, bro. Yeah, who else charts plays for every team in the league? Other than coaches in this league. Yeah, I do. You know what? I watch this Broncos team. I see a team that can make a run at the Super Bowl. Dallas would be problems for them. And I can't stand Mike McCarthy, but I'm going to tell you the real. Dallas would be a problem for the Broncos defense. And I can't stand Cowboys fans. I mean, I'm stuck in the 90s. Lord knows Cowboy fans like, remember 95? That was great. Yeah, high school was awesome, Cowboys fans. But like that team, Philadelphia, the 49ers, and the Baltimore Ravens. I got 4 teams that would be problematic for the Denver Broncos. Well, what if you beat Baltimore? Baltimore's the best team in the AFC. What if you beat them? You're the best team in the AFC. The Broncos will be a tough out in the postseason. Nobody wants to face them. You kidding me? Nobody wants to face this Broncos team. And that's exactly where they need to be. This is the precise spot in the moment. And I've said it a million times. I probably got it from Sigmund Bloom. I'll shout out Sigmund, my co-host on the Audible. But you take on the personality of your head coach or your quarterback. Your quarterback does not have a personality, so it's all Sean Payton. And you know what Sean Payton's personality is? I'm going to flip and win any way I can. You like that? Right? As I sound like Jack Black? You like that? Tenacious D is always on the brain. Anyway, like, do you like that? I'm going to win no matter the cost. I'm going to find a way to win. If the players execute, Sean Payton will put them in position to make a run at a championship. This season, that's why the talk about the week 3 stuff, like, it was a lifetime ago. All right? It's just a different team, almost a different season. And in this league, I mean, look at around the NFL. The Chiefs are scoring about 21 points a game over the last 2 months. The Chiefs, right? So look around the league and you see all this parity. Well, when there's parity, I'm going to take the team that's well coached. When there's parity, I'm going to take the team and the coach that's been there, done that, right? That's the Denver Broncos. So as I cheers my Gatorade to you, unpaid endorsement sales, get on that. I drink Gatorade Zero every day, like Vic Fangio, right? Listen, the culture is winning in Broncos country. The culture created by Greg Penner is winning. Sean Payton's culture, which is leading the way, is do what it takes to win. And in football and in life, that's the goal. My goal isn't to hey, just don't rock the boat. My goal is to win in life. The Broncos' goal, it isn't, hey, we made it, everybody. It's football. We get to play football. I don't want to say that's a loser's mentality. I think that would be mean. But again, sometimes things are just mean. The way the Broncos think, the way they manifest is simply incredible because it is ultimate belief in momentum, belief in self, and confidence being the key. Confidence, having that self-confidence that no, the chips are down, I can still win. I can still make a play. Chips are down, my guy's got my back. Chips are down, Russ is going to make a play. Chips are down, Sutton's going to do the impossible. Chips are down, Justin Simmons going to get a pick. Chips are down, Jerry Jeudy's going to drop a pass. Stay away from Jerry Jeudy. Anyway, I had to throw in a little change up there. Matthew was falling asleep behind the board, so I got to keep him awake, right? Throw a little curveball once in a while. Anyway, that is a wrap for today's edition of Orange and Blue Today. We have 1 day of practice left, so programming note, Mason, I'll be on tomorrow. We will have, practice. We'll have some stuff there. Speaking of which, I'm going to play this. I don't think I'll get in trouble for playing it because I mentioned Greg Dulcich, so like super, super quick. I wanted to play this because Mace got it for me. Here's Greg Dulcich today doing some drills. Talked to Adam Troutman today in the locker room, and he knows, and he said it. And I think Adam Troutman kind of gave us a clue. And the clue is merely this: Greg Dulcich is going to play when he feels like he's ready. And regardless of practice status or, injured reserve, open up the 21-day window, whatever that is, Greg Dulcich is going to be an important part of what the Broncos do. Now, imagine getting Greg Dulcich back for the postseason. To quote Jack Nicholson in Batman 89, where do they get a load of me? Where do they get a load of this Broncos team? Courtland Sutton doing his thing, right? A little Brandon Johnson over here doing that. A little Marvin Mims take the top off. And then Dulcich. Dulcich was a huge key for this Broncos team. In fact, they'd probably have 10 wins right now if Greg Dulcich hadn't gotten hurt. Because you beat the Commanders, you beat the Raiders. There's two more. Throw in the Texans. That's not Lucas Kroll. That's Dulcich. That's a touchdown. Yeah, you'd have 10 wins right now if one player could stay healthy. That's how razor thin this line is. So as I wrap up today's show, and again, tomorrow there's 1 day of practice left. Friday, they don't have practice. Mace will actually be in Detroit on Friday for the show, the big show. So we're going to have practice reports, be there, locker room, talk to coordinators tomorrow. A very good day. But just know this, that line is so thin in this league. Give me Sean Payton. My faith in the Broncos has to do more with Sean Payton than it does Russell Wilson. I know Russ is going to do what the coach tells him to do. And I know the coach is going to tell him to do the right thing. It just comes down to, can Russ do it or not? So that is a wrap for today's program. I am Cecil Lammey. This is Orange and Blue Today. We're growing our YouTube channel. Please help us out and do the YouTube things. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. It really helps the channel. We've seen the numbers grow. I want them to explode, baby. All right. And that comes from you guys. Help us out. Spread that love to Broncos country. There is no other Broncos show that is greater than Orange and Blue Today. I can say that assuredly. No other show brings you the post-game clips, the locker room clips. Nobody's there. Practice. Nobody's doing what Mason and I are doing. And that's not a humble brag. And that's not me being an aloha. That's just the truth. And that's a wrap. He's Matthew. I'm Cecil. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned. And as always, would you please stay frosty?